Much has changed since we last spoke about 5 minutes ago. No, since we last spoke, I think at the tail end of last week, as we saw, Alexander Isak was left out of the Newcastle, both the Newcastle squads that played here in St James's Park on Friday night and then Saturday in their last two friendly matches before the start of the season. And of course, Eddie Howe fielded questions on it after both of those games. His words were that he can't select Alexander Isak right now, and he would love to do that, and if he could change things or change Alexander Isak's mind, he said he would have done it yesterday. So he didn't go as far as saying Alexander Isak is refusing to train or refusing to play, but he made it clear, you know, reading between the lines, that Isak's head is probably not in the right place for him to be performing for Newcastle United at the moment, and that is why he is essentially training on his own. I don't think he's seen any of his teammates really since he returned from his self-imposed training visit over to Real Sociedad, when of course he went out there for a week on his own. The rest of the players have all been training as normal in the mornings, and Alexander Isak's been turning up around about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon to put himself through his own paces. So look, it's becoming a bit of a toxic situation, isn't it? Not what Newcastle want ahead of the new season, and Eddie Howe says he doesn't see that changing ahead of their trip to Villa Park in the season opener on Saturday lunchtime. I don't think we're going to see anything definitive to this situation until the transfer window is closed. We know Liverpool have made one bid, £110 million plus add-ons. That was flatly rejected by Newcastle, and I've been saying for a number of weeks now, Newcastle will only allow Alexander Isak to go if, one, they receive a huge offer that they can't refuse, I think anything round about £150 million, and two, they're able to get a ready-made replacement. They tried and failed for Benjamin Sesko last week. Of course, he went to Manchester United, and it feels like the options for Newcastle are now very thin on the ground. So I think as the days go on, it's becoming increasingly likely that Alexander Isak will remain a Newcastle United player this window. And of course, bridges are going to have to be mended, because the Newcastle fans are not happy with what they've seen from his conduct over the last couple of weeks. So it feels like a lot of work is going to have to be done behind the scenes to ensure that they can get together. Newcastle need him, he needs Newcastle, and move on into the start of the season.
Keith, those bridges will be bigger than the Tyne Bridge, I reckon. Let's talk Johan Wissa. Any movement on that one?
Yeah, well, look, Mike, this is becoming a bit of a saga as well. Newcastle desperate to bring him in. He's desperate to come here to Newcastle. Of course, as we know, he's not been involved with Brentford in their last couple of pre-season friendlies, or really in training either. We're told that Brentford want to bring in a replacement first before allowing him to leave. Not dissimilar, really, from the Alexander Isak situation here. But again, this one is dragged on for a couple of weeks too. I think if Newcastle had their way, they would like to have him in before the match against Aston Villa on Saturday. Look, there still is a chance of that, but it's a domino effect, isn't it? Because they are waiting on Brentford bringing someone else in themselves, and of course they then need to agree a fee with Brentford. But it's been a protracted one, that one. But I still do expect him to sign for Newcastle. It's just not been quite as simple as many would have hoped.
OK, and what about at the other end of the pitch, in defence? One in, one out, is that the situation?
Well, definitely one in the shape of Malik Chow. He arrived late last night into the northeast to undergo his medical today. That's after Newcastle struck a deal with AC Milan at the weekend. They've been scouting this player for a number of years. They've been to watch him live 8 times, and Andy Howe, who's led negotiations in this, has actually been over to Italy to meet AC Milan twice throughout the summer. So it looks like they've managed to land their man in a deal round about £35 million. So that's the central defender they've been looking for a long time. You asked me about one out. I think you're alluding there to Kieran Trippier. I'm not saying that he's going to leave, but my information is that AS Monaco are interested in the Newcastle right back and are hoping to explore a deal. Now, I don't think Newcastle will want to lose Kieran Trippier. He's a vital. Newcastle fans deal with Alexander Isak staying should any potential move to Liverpool not materialise over the next 3 weeks. And of course, remember, if this does go through, it will be a Premier League record transfer. So it's not the kind of deal that's going to be done overnight. It might take a little bit of time. And that's why I'm saying as time goes on, I wouldn't say it's becoming increasingly unlikely, but I would say it's becoming increasingly likely that he'll be playing at Newcastle next season, unless Liverpool come in with an offer quickly and Newcastle manage to get a replacement lined up. But yeah, you asked me the question, how will the Newcastle fans feel? I suppose I'm better speaking to a Newcastle fan, and I've got Charlotte Robson here from the True Faith podcast. Charlotte, thanks very much for popping along to see us. We are really keen to get the fans' view on this, because I think it's pretty clear to see he's not conducted himself greatly, but would you welcome him back with open arms if he starts scoring goals at the start of the season?
Yes, we're fans of we're Newcastle fans. We want to see Newcastle winning. I think it's a really tricky one, because I think Newcastle fans are desperate to be behind Alexander Isak, and as all of this news has come out and all of this sort of drama has unfolded over the last few weeks, it's become really difficult to be like, it's probably going to be fine, and we still really like him. He's training on his own. He's like, we understand that Eddie Howe's only finding out that he's in Spain through the media and things like that. It just doesn't paint him in the best light, but we really want to get behind our players. That's what we do as fans of this team. So I think if he can get his head down, score goals for us this season, and he stays, then yeah, of course we're gonna be okay.
So the bridges haven't been burned too far just yet?
I don't think so.
I think maybe they have with some fans. Maybe you're just a bit more easygoing.
Yeah, I think for some people definitely, like some of the noise on social media and stuff is like, he's, like persona non grata here now, like let him go. We don't want him here. He's still one of the best strikers in the world. So I do want him here. I want to see him thrive here. I want to see us kind of be able to rebuild that relationship if we can, if it's possible. But I'm always that kind of person.
I guess as well, with Hugo Ekitike joining Liverpool, a player who of course Newcastle attempted to sign here, how difficult would it be to see Ekitike and Isak?
But in terms of disciplinary action, I don't think that's happened. Well, he's here and he's contracted to us, so as long as he's in that position, there is of course a chance that he could play for Newcastle again. But I don't know what the future will hold. I'd want Alex to be playing today. I'd want him training tomorrow. We would love the player to be with us. So let me make that absolutely clear. There's no part of me that doesn't want that outcome. But I don't see that changing before Aston Villa, the current situation that we're in.
We brought you pictures of Isak returning to Newcastle's training ground this week, having missed their pre-season tour. He's been training away from the rest of the squad as instructed by Howe. Newcastle rejected an opening offer of £110 million plus add-ons from Liverpool earlier this month after Isak told the club he wanted to explore his options in the transfer window. And Eddie Howe admits that some of the squad have been disrupted by the news, and he is aware of some negative feeling from his players to the situation.
Whenever you have a player in this situation, it's unsettling for the team. I don't think we've been in that position since I've been here. The harmony and togetherness of the group's been at its highest. So I think naturally it's just been a topic of conversation. It's been a distraction, and I think the biggest sort of hit we've taken is we're not blessed with a number of players in his position, so I think you've seen a big gap. But I have to say big credit to the players because they've got on with their work. The training's been of a really high level. I haven't seen a negative output on the pitch. But I have been aware of a feeling around the group that there's something there that's not to the benefit of the group. The group's been together since the moment I stepped through the door. We had our challenges, we had big mountains to climb on the pitch, but we were always united off the pitch. It's been one of our biggest